the United States might actually happen. And as we said, it's like there are all kinds of possibilities on the table given the range of assets that are there in the region.
On the morning of August 27th, in the pitch-black depths of Peru's Ayacucho jungle, more than 40 heavily armored vehicles from Trendi, Aaragua, packed with sicarios, heavy machine guns, and over $1 billion worth of cocaine and fentanyl, stormed toward the Aaragua Valley. They believed they were untouchable, blissfully unaware of the deadly trap lying in wait. Delta Force, in collaboration with the U.S. Air Force, had laid a perfect steel net prepared to turn their convoy into nothing more than a mangled wreck of destruction in an unrelenting barrage. What happened when they crossed into the kill box? The military secrets behind Operation Iron Spear will send chills down your spine. Watch the full video to uncover the shocking truth. Subscribe now to stay in the loop. Governor W.U.S. It's 3:32 in the morning, August 27th. The thick night still blankets Peru's Ayacucho jungle, where towering mountains rise like colossal stone walls, enclosing narrow valleys. This rugged terrain has long served as a hidden route for transnational crime, an unforgiving path linking coca fields to smuggling trails reaching into Bolivia and Brazil. And within this darkness, a massive armored convoy from Trendi, Aaragua begins its deadly journey. More than 40 pickup trucks and makeshift armored vehicles, each armed with heavy machine guns, race through sharp bends with a swaggering confidence. Beneath filthy tarps, they conceal tons of cocaine and fentanyl, the lethal white powder responsible for claiming tens of thousands of American lives every year. For Trendi, Aaragua, this isn't just another drug shipment, it's their lifeblood. Worth over $1 billion, it solidifies their alliance with Brazil's PCC, expands their power in the Andes, and sends a clear message that they can dominate a crucial route far beyond the reach of the Peruvian government. But this very journey placed them squarely in America's crosshairs. Months before the CIA had intercepted encrypted communications between TDA leaders and South American smuggling bosses, uncovering plans to move the largest drug shipment of the year across Peru's border. This critical intelligence was passed to JAEATF South in Florida, where a command room bathed in the cold blue glow of KH-11 satellite and MQ-9 drone screens. Every diesel engine, every heat signature of the convoy appeared on the digital map resembling a fiery snake weaving its way through the jungle. American commanders understood the stakes if this convoy succeeded within weeks. Millions of fentanyl doses would flood the streets of Houston, New York, and Los Angeles, unleashing an unprecedented wave of deaths. This wasn't just a drug problem, it was a direct threat to national security. The decision was clear. Operation Iron Spear was set in motion. Delta Force would serve as the claws on the ground while the U.S. Air Force secured control of the skies. To avoid a diplomatic crisis with Peru, the strike had to be entirely covert, leaving no trace and hitting like a nightmare, swift and unforgiving. As TDA's convoy laughed and joked, certain that the rugged terrain and their sheer brutality would protect them, an MQ-9 Reaper silently circled overhead, tracking their every movement. Deep within the jungle, Delta Force's shadowy operatives had been lying in wait for days, their eyes locked on the Apur Canyon, a narrow choke point with only one way in and one way out. This was where the steel trap would snap shut. The battle ignited by TDA's greed and arrogance was about to unfold. They believed they could expand their empire with blood poison and money, oblivious to the millions of innocent lives they were putting at risk. But that very arrogance led them straight into a deadly trap where the iron fist of the United States waited to deliver the final blow. It was 1:42 in the morning, August 27th. The air in JTF South's underground command room in Key West, Florida was thick with tension, every breath palpable in the silence. On the wall of screens, KH-11 satellite imagery and live infrared data from the MQ-9 Reaper tracked Trendi, Aaragua's armored convoy as it slithered through the Aaragua Valley like a massive serpent. The commanding general tapped his pen lightly against the map, his voice as cold as ice. They chose the only road through this valley. That was their final mistake. Operation Iron Spear was officially greenlit with the mission not only to halt the convoy, but also to cripple TDA's armed strength in Peru, severing a vital link between Venezuela and South American ports. Meanwhile, in Lima, the CIA worked closely with Peruvian special forces to simulate heightened border security, lulling the convoy into a false sense of safety. In truth, their entire journey was ensnared in an invisible web spun by the United States. The forces chosen for the mission were carefully selected, with Delta Force deploying 48 elite operatives divided into 3 specialized teams, each ready to strike at the heart of the threat. Team Alpha had rigged claymore mines along the northern ridge of the canyon, creating an impenetrable wall of destruction. Team Bravo took position on the south armed with AT-4 and Javelin anti-tank weapons ready to strike at a moment's notice. Team Charlie, equipped with Black Hornet UAVs and Switchblade 300s, stood by to seal off TDA's secret escape tunnel. Meanwhile, in absolute secrecy, the U.S. Air Force assembled a devastating arsenal. 2 A-10 Warthogs armed with Hydra rockets and GAU-8A cannons, 1 AC-13 OJ, Ghost Rider circling overhead with its 30mm and 105mm guns, a pair of F-35 Lightning IIs lurking 25,000 feet above, prepared to neutralize any manpads, and the MQ-9 Reaper keeping a watchful eye from the sky. Farther out over the Pacific, AKC-135 Stratotanker hovered in position, ready to refuel and extend the operational range of the air squadron. This was not merely an ambush, it was a meticulously planned operation. The U.S. wasn't content with just destroying part of the convoy and allowing a few vehicles to escape. The objective was a kill box, a coldly calculated killing zone where every moving object would be considered an enemy. On the digital map, a blazing red rectangle appeared 2.7 kilometers long and 300 meters wide, perfectly aligned with the canyon the convoy was destined to pass through. On the ground, Delta Force locked the trap, while in the air, the U.S. Air Force maintained absolute dominance. Inside the kill box, TDA's force would be crushed like insects. A young officer whispered, "Once they're in the red zone, the rest is hell." Every detail was calculated. AI tracked the convoy's speed 45 kilometers per hour, with stops every 18 minutes, the Black Command vehicle in the 12th position. Sensors relayed audio vibration and thermal data for confirmation. Delta Force reported positions ready, claymores set, snipers in place awaiting orders. Meanwhile, the Ghost Rider above tested its infrared systems, scanning the pitch-black valley that would soon erupt into a sea of fire. TDA remained oblivious, believing Ayacucho was a safe haven where Peru's weak authorities wouldn't dare go. The Sicarios sat on truck beds, smoking, swapping stories, and boasting about their robberies. Confident their man-pads and heavy machine guns could take down any aircraft, they didn't realize their entire communication system had been compromised. U.S. electronic warfare teams quietly intercepted TDA's radio signals, replaying them with a slight delay to mask the eavesdropping. In Florida, every curse and order from TDA's commanders was crystal clear on the screens. Their blind confidence only tightened the noose around their necks. As the sun remained below the horizon, Team Bravo in the western jungle adjusted their anti-tank sights, focusing on simulated targets in the rocky terrain. To the east, Team Charlie deployed tiny UAVs silently circling above the treetops, marking each vehicle with invisible laser tags. Higher up, the F-35s flew silently, radars off, waiting for any signals from the ground. A pilot whispered, "We're waiting for the first spark from a launcher. When it flares, they're gone." It wasn't a threat, but a cold promise. At JTF South, the commanding general gave the final order. No one fires until the convoy is fully inside the kill box. When the command vehicle is in the center, we lock it down simultaneously. No one escapes. The air in the command room grew thick with tension. Every Delta operator in the jungle, every pilot in the sky, and every intelligence analyst in Florida knew this was more than just a counter-drug mission. It was a global message. No criminal organization, no matter how big, rich, or brutal, could escape the iron grip of the United States. On the screens, TDA's Convoy crawled into the canyon headlights, cutting through the fog. Red dots, each representing a vehicle, slowly moved into the kill box. Silence filled the room, broken only by the hum of the air conditioning and the tense eyes tracking the screens. A soft voice crackled over Delta's radio targets approaching. Trap closing. And deep in the Peruvian jungle, the darkness was about to give way to a storm of fire. 1:12 in the morning, August 27th. The Ayacucho jungle remained wrapped in thick silence, the fog draping over the mountains like a heavy curtain. High above, an MQ-9 Reaper glided silently at 20,000 feet, its infrared camera scanning the winding roads. Data streamed to JTF South in Florida, where command screens displayed each Trendi Aaragua vehicle as glowing red heat signatures creeping into the kill box. A cold voice from an analyst cut through the tension. Convoy entering kill zone. Just a few hundred meters away in moss-covered rock crevices along the road, Delta Force's Team Alpha peered through infrared scopes. Sweat beaded under tactical helmets, but no one moved. C4 and Claymore mines placed 3 days earlier lay hidden in the brush, and rocky faces, their detonation cords linked to a controller held by a Delta operator. Team Bravo, a few kilometers south, waited with AT-4s and Javelins and M240 mounted on a tripod aimed at a narrow bend. Team Charlie, deep in the jungle, sent Black Hornet UAVs gliding silently above the treetops, streaming real-time imagery. The lead vehicle mounted a 12.7mm machine gun, the 7th carried an RPG launcher, and the Black Command vehicle sat in the 12th position. At 1:17, the convoy pushed deeper headlights, cutting through the fog and illuminating the sheer rock walls on both sides. The roar of diesel engines echoed like death drums through the narrow valley. The Sicarios laughed loudly. One stood on a truck bed waving a cigarette, puffing smoke, arrogantly believing no one dared to challenge them in this lane. Another clutched a PKM, slapping his comrade's shoulder, boasting that this shipment would fund more anti-tank missiles from Bolivia. What they didn't know was that every boastful word was captured by directional microphones turned into actionable data. At 1:23, the convoy reached the center of Apur Valley. The terrain was so narrow that only 2 vehicles could fit side by side, flanked by razor-sharp rock walls. High above, F-35s circled silently, radars off infrared sensors and signal detectors primed for the first flash of a man-pads. The AC-130 Ghost Rider moved into firing position, its 30mm cannon-loaded infrared sensors locked onto the convoy below. In the Florida command room, a general tapped the table. "Targets in the box. What are we waiting for?" The commander lowered his voice. "Wait for the command vehicle to hit the center. When the head and tail are locked, we close the trap." At 1:28, the Black Command vehicle carrying TDA's field leader, who oversaw the entire smuggling operation, reached the center of the valley. On the digital map, a red circle pulsed around it. The command center signaled execute, close the box. At 1:30, the ground erupted. Hidden Claymore mines along the road detonated in unison, thousands of steel ball bearings tearing through the night, shredding the 3 lead vehicles. Screams rang out as flames consumed the Sicarios in the truck beds. At the same time, Bravo fired AT-4s from the rear. A sharp whistle sliced through the air, followed by a massive explosion that sent the last armored vehicle tumbling off the road into a rocky ditch. The convoy was instantly trapped, unable to move forward or backward. In that moment of horror, the AC-130 unleashed a storm of fire from above. Its 30mm cannon roared each round like a steel saw blade tearing through the rear vehicles. Explosions rocked the valley orange-red light, transforming the night into a hellscape. A 10 Warthogs dove in from the east, releasing 6 Hydra rocket pods in unison, obliterating a cluster of 3 armored vehicles trying to maneuver. The Sicarios panicked. Some leapt from the trucks, firing RPGs wildly into the darkness. One rocket shot into the sky toward a light, but it only exposed their position. Instantly, an F-35 locked onto its target, releasing a compact SDB. In a flash, the launcher and its Sicario crew were reduced to a fiery crater. On the ground, Alpha tightened the noose. Precise sniper shots pierced the darkness, dropping heavy gunners in the truck beds. Charlie deployed Switchblade 300 UAVs, their small propellers buzzing before crashing into a vehicle packed with Sicarios. The explosion was violent, the truck splintering as flames shot into the sky. Screams, gunfire, and explosions reverberated through the narrow canyon, turning it into a deadly chamber of chaos. The surviving Sicarios tried to flee, but every escape route was sealed. Claymores ahead. AT-4s behind 30mm cannons from above and UAVs diving down, forming an unbreakable steel net. In the Florida command room, a combat officer smiled coldly. The kill box is closed. And in Peru's Apur Valley, the convoy once deemed invincible was now a heap of twisted, burning metal. It was 2:30 in the morning. Apur Valley had turned into a furnace smoke and gunpowder dust, filling the narrow space, orange-red light flickering from the burning armored vehicles of Trendi, Aaragua. Do you support the fight to destroy these cartels? If yes, comment the number 2. If not, comment the number 5. But the battle wasn't over. This was the climax of destruction. From the northern ridge, Delta Forces Team Alpha opened fire in unison. SR-25 sniper rifles dropped PKM gunners, peeking from truck beds, bullets piercing helmets and rendering any resistance futile. In the valley below, Bravo advanced from the south in 2 prongs. One team used an AT-4 to obliterate a pickup truck mounted with a 12.7mm machine gun, which was firing wildly, while the other team unleashed precise M4A1 bursts at Sicarios hiding behind overturned vehicles. Charlie, after deploying Black Hornet UAVs to pinpoint targets, launched Switchblade 300s into a truck packed with RPGs. The explosion swiftly erased the launcher before it could fire. A 10 Warthogs dove low, their GAU-8A cannons roaring, unleashing 30mm rounds that shredded the ground, turning armored vehicles into fragile toys. The sounds of explosions, screams, and gunfire blended into a chaotic symphony of death, shaking the valley like an earthquake. TDA fought back in desperation. A group of Sicarios dragged out a Manpad's launcher, aiming at the AC-130 Ghost Rider circling above. But as the launcher flared, the F-35's warning system activated and the pilot released 2 SDBs. The precise strikes leveled the firing position, debris scattering everywhere, the launcher disappearing, and Sicario bodies strewn across the mountainside. A pickup truck with a 14.5mm gun fired wildly, its red tracer rounds slicing through the night like thousands of daggers. But just 3 seconds later, a javelin from Bravo struck, turning the vehicle into a massive fireball. As Delta Force tightened the noose, the first casualty emerged. A Bravo operator took shrapnel to the shoulder, blood soaking his uniform, but teammates dragged him into a rock crevice, bandaging him on the spot and calling for medevac. Beside him, his comrades kept firing, their rhythm unbroken like a well-oiled machine. In those moments, Delta's iron discipline shone through. Even as blood spilled, they held the battlefield. Above, the AC-130 delivered the decisive blow. Its 105mm cannon roared, sending a massive round slamming into the black armored command vehicle. A thunderous explosion rang out, the vehicle disintegrating as debris scattered and flames rose like a funeral pyre. The death of TDA's field leader threw their ranks into chaos. Surviving Sicarios ditched their weapons and fled into the jungle, but nowhere was safe. The MQ-9 Reaper fired 2 Hellfire missiles pursuing the retreating vehicles. One missile pierced a truck bed, erupting into a fireball. The other missile struck a pickup truck climbing a slope, sending it tumbling down and exploding in a fiery blast. Step by step, the steel trap closed. Delta Force advanced boots crunching on blood-stained rocks. Short, sharp commands crackled over the radio. Left flank clear. Target down. Move up. The remaining TDA gunners huddled in desperation, firing wildly, but precise sniper shots swiftly ended their resistance. This was no longer a battle, but a cold hunt. In less than half an hour, most of the convoy's vehicles were ablaze, flames lighting the valley like daylight, black smoke rising into the sky. At 2:35, the battle's climax ended. Apur Valley became a graveyard of charred metal mixed with bodies and the acrid stench of gunpowder and blood. Delta Force held formation, advancing as the return fire ceased. From above, the AC-130 confirmed, "Kill box secure." In the Florida command room, the general exhaled and nodded. Target crushed. In Peru, the Apur Mountains remained unmoved, but within them a convoy once deemed invincible had been completely erased. A stark testament that when America's iron fist strikes, no one escapes. Dawn, August 27th. The first light over Apur Valley revealed a blackened battlefield, where 40 armored vehicles had been reduced to smoldering husks and blood stained the rocks. Delta Force had silently vanished, leaving behind a haunting scene. Nearly 250 Trendi Aaragua sicarios lay dead, with the entire drug haul, over 2 tons of cocaine and 1.2 tons of fentanyl, either seized or incinerated. The Peruvian government quickly claimed it as a coordinated anti-drug operation, skillfully avoiding mention of direct U.S. involvement. But every smuggler in the region knew the truth: Washington's hand had struck down in Peru. For Trendi Aaragua, this was a fatal blow. Their Andes smuggling network was severed, their covert alliance with Brazil's PCC shaken, and their financial structure built on cocaine and fentanyl revenue collapsed overnight. From Caracas to Lima, the news spread like wildfire. TDA's once invincible convoy had been annihilated, their field leader killed in the command vehicle, and the survivors fleeing like wild animals. In Washington, the Pentagon issued a brief statement. Any attempt to bring artificial death to America will pay a price. The kingpins who once sat on thrones no longer see the sunrise. They're hiding not from police, but from something that comes from the sky with no warning, no threat, just the low roar of jet engines and a flash when it all ends. The president doesn't speak. The Department of Defense issues no statement. But for those who traffic in death, the message is clearer than any speech from the White House podium. On underground forums, panicked messages flooded in. If Apur can be leveled, where are we safe? America's enemies got their answer. Nowhere. No jungle, no mountain, no armored convoy is strong enough to escape the iron grip of the United States. With Operation Iron Spear, the message was clear, not just for TDA, but for every transnational criminal organization. The moment they dare to spread drugs into America is the moment they sign their death warrant. As the sun rose over Peru's mountains, black smoke from the burning vehicles still curled into the sky like a massive scar, a warning that would haunt for years. When America's iron fist strikes, no one survives. Operation Iron Spear in Apur Valley was not just a successful ambush, but a stark testament to the unmatched power of the U.S. military in the 21st century. This wasn't a stroke of luck, but the result of flawless coordination between Delta Force and the U.S. Air Force. From the Claymore mine set by Team Alpha, the AT-4, and Javelin strikes by Bravo, to the Switchblade and Black Hornet UAVs deployed by Charlie, and in the air, the A-10 Warthog AC-13, O Ghost Rider, and F-35. Lightning II created a lethal steel net, ensuring no Sicario escaped the kill box. And that's the story of Operation Iron Spear. A precise, devastating strike by Delta Force and the U.S. Air Force, obliterating Trendi Aaragua's invincible convoy, sending a clear message to every criminal organization: no place is too far to escape America's iron grip. Apur Valley now lies in ashes, a haunting warning to all. What do you think of this flawless coordination? Will any organization dare challenge this power again? Leave a comment and share your thoughts on this operation. Don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling military secrets. See you in the next video.